Back to part 2 of our startup. So we've talked briefly about Greenhouse 1 and Greenhouse 2 and the building of the barn. So 2019 was the first year with both greenhouses. Since we added another greenhouse, our original heating system was too small. So we had to upgrade it to a bigger outdoor wood boiler just as we finished up the greenhouse. Then we started our transplant for that year inside the barn. By having a new greenhouse also meant that we were going to have new produce, like a lot more production coming from both greenhouses. So we were kind of starting to be restrained in our cold room storage capacity. The fact that we added another greenhouse added another factor, which was we needed more hours of labor in the greenhouses. So we decided to hire our first employee that year. We ended up being able to harvest, cool down the vegetables and fruits and sell them. And week after week, 2019, it was around 100 baskets. On to 2020. 2020 was hard for a lot of people, I think. Everybody remembers 2020, either in a good way or a bad way. I don't know. But we did realize one thing. Being a farmer, you're already really isolated. I don't want to get too much into COVID. Our market was closed during that year. So we couldn't do much but work during COVID, so we decided to actually rip out the cold rooms and decided to finally pour the concrete. Now we only got to do half of the barn for the concrete pour because we filled it up with a lot of things because we needed it to work. You know, we're already using it as a working station. And so we moved half of the stuff on the other side, and then we started building bigger cold rooms. The cold one, which is 2 degrees Celsius, so just above freezing, is 9 foot by 16 foot. And we have one dedicated for tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplants, zucchinis. And we also started working on our orchard and vineyard. We decided to prep 1 hectare. We're on a nice slope, and this allows the frost to actually slide down the mountain. So we chose that area for that. We tilled the soil, and then we planted some buckwheat. And then so that helped suppress the weeds. And then we tilled that into the soil. And afterwards we did some oats right before winter. So that was pretty much that for the orchard and vineyard that year. You know, only half the garage was done in concrete. Right before, I think it was the end of November, we're like, well, they're talking about another lockdown here in Canada, so might as well work some more, right? And so we decided to move all the stuff that's on the other half of the garage onto the concrete where the cold rooms are, since we were done our growing season, and started prepping that side. So take out the extra sand, compact the sand, put the poly, put the insulation, put the tubing, pressurize the system, and call the concrete up. And then we poured the concrete. That was fun. The concrete was finally all poured inside the garage, both sides. And then we didn't plug the heating system just yet because you can actually crack your concrete if you start heating it too quick. So we let it cure quite a while. So that was the end of 2020. Yeah, and then we started doing the construction for the office, the bathroom. It's still not finished yet, but we put the walls up. So by building an office inside the barn, this allowed us to move all the papers out of the tiny house and into a dedicated space for all our farm operations. We're always looking for ways to make the most of our space and resources, but the barn's already too small, so we have to look into building another one, or actually extending the building. So that's part of the future eventually. So I forgot one really important thing, and we actually bought our first electric vehicle. Now it doesn't go on the road. We're about to start our growing season, so if you'd like to know more about that, stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.